I just installed the new Joying 10.1-inch Android car stereo. This runs Android 10, has 4 gig of RAM, 6 gig of ROM, has Android Auto, Apple Carplay. It's definitely the best Joying radio I've ever had. I'm going to cover a couple things on my installation here in my 2001 Pontiac Trans Am, and then I'll go over to radio. I had one of Joying's original 10.1-inch radios. It was a couple years ago. I have an old video on it running Android 4. The problem with the old one was it was just a little too big for this car to fit right, because the actual radio had much thicker black bezel around it. It was 15 millimeters wider, 5 millimeters taller, and it was probably about twice as thick as this one. So the problem I had was I couldn't get it to fit inside the dash, so I had to kind of fit around here, so it was pushed farther out, plus the bezel was thicker, and it was taller, so it cut off half of my HVAC control, because the problem was this dash 2, it curves as it goes taller. So since it was sitting not in the recess, but like on the dash, there was a pretty big gap up here, so I couldn't go up as high. I had to go lower. Half my dials were cut off, and that got really annoying really fast. So this new one is perfect because I can mount it right up to, from my point of view, where it's not blocking the vents, maybe just slightly with the trim piece I made. Now, here's a couple pictures of when I originally installed it. And here is how I mounted it. What I bought, I'll put the part number in the description. I put this radio bracket backwards to get the actual radio as deep as I possibly can. Now, it's a little too deep, so I put 2 small washers behind each of the side plates, and it's perfect. Now, to get the thing super deep, the side, it's hard to see. The side, there's like a lip, usually around the whole thing. I had to bend it straight on the 2 sides, so that way this radio can mount as deep as it possibly can. Everything's wired, and then for the screen, it's adjustable. I moved the little legs down 1 notch. Should be perfect. As you can see, it looked like the dials are cut off. They weren't. They're just recessed farther back. The trim piece, of course, looks like it's back because it is behind it. And it looked like from the side that I just had a tablet stuck up to my dash. So what I did is I basically took the HVAC control and I shimmed it forward outward, and I gave it a little bit of an angle because this trim piece is angled, probably like 15 degrees. And that makes it look like perfect. All the dials, I can see them. I mounted a right angle piece of Lexan to the trim, then I built it up with Bondo, sanded it smooth, and then hit it with some texture paint and then the ebony interior color paint. And then finally, I made this trim piece here that's nice and flush all the way around. It gives it a nice smooth look, like it's actually part of the dash. And that's pretty much it for the install. So let's get into the radio. Like I said, this runs Android 10. It's incredibly fast. It's incredibly stable. I've had, I want to say, 12 different Joying radios. They're kind of like cell phones. You know, a new model comes out, has either a new version of Android or a faster processor or more RAM or, you know, Android Auto, whatever. I've started Android 4.4, Android 5, 6, 8, quad-core, you know, octa-core, 1 gig of RAM, and so on. So I've had a lot of Joying radios, and they've all had their own bugs and stuff like that. And this one is by far the best. The Bluetooth hands calling is great. I have had no problem. People on the other end can't even tell that I'm talking on a radio. Some of the older Joyings, you know, my wife hated when I talked to her on the radio. I usually just, you know, hung up and then called her back on my cell phone because it just sounded that bad on her end. They finally came out with a new, beefier microphone that I guess maybe that's making it better. I don't know. A couple other bugs they had. The only bug they still have is, which I find annoying, is when you set your stereo controls to maps, for some reason, it remembers it for a while, and then it just kind of forgets. So you hit the button on your steering wheel to go to Google Maps, and then it asks you to set that button. So that happens occasionally. It's really the only problem I've come across. Other than that, it's very, very stable. They finally got rid of their Z-Link, which was kind of like a simulated Android Auto Apple CarPlay. This is supposedly the actual true version, and it works really nice. You have to plug your phone in USB. I'll show that in a little bit. and works fantastic. It's very snappy. I use this launcher called Car Launcher. I just like the look. You can customize and how it looks. You can make anything you want to be whatever you want. So like the Pontiac logo I added, I had that just taking me to my phone. Or if I hit the compass here, it'll take me to Google Maps. That takes me to Wi-Fi. It has Google Now, so I can hit that and say, okay, Google, where's the nearest McDonald's? You got your app drawer here. Very clean, very easy to use, and it works great for your music too. I like how it has your music on the side here. It doesn't matter what app you use. So right now I am using, I think I have YouTube Music on. Let's go into YouTube Music here. Again, YouTube Music has a great interface on here. It fits fantastic. You can pull up your related songs, anything you want. It's very clean. Back up again. Whatever you want to play. Now, so that was, of course, let's say if I go into Power Amp, which is my MP3s, go back to home, and now Power Amp is on the side. So whatever the active player is basically whatever you want to play, and play, pause, forward, reverse, whatever, right on the home screen. A very, very sleek looking display compared to the standard just icon joining display. Speaking of music players, probably the best ones to use on these Android radios, because I've had them for a very long time. If you don't want to have to press play and select your music every time you get in your car, for streaming, Pandora works the best. As long as your Pandora page is on, it'll automatically start playing as soon as you start your car. You don't have to press play. You don't have to do anything. Let me say go back to the home, and now it's on there. So that's what I like. Now, YouTube Music is one, if you leave it on the YouTube Music screen, every time you get in your car, you still have to press play. And probably the worst one is Amazon Music. That one, every time you get in the car, it pretty much doesn't remember anything, and you have to go and find the album and hit play, and it's so tedious. I don't ever use Amazon Music unless I'm going for a really long drive that doesn't have a lot of stop and goes, because it gets really annoying. Let's go into some settings here. They're always improving the settings menu. One to take note of is sound. I do have a subwoofer in here. So you can change the power conditioning. What that means, right now I'm set to max. I should probably turn that down. If I turn, so basically max, when that's on 60, for me, I have my volume roughly 8 to 10. So 10 is about as loud as I listen to when I'm driving, and I have a pretty loud car. If I turn power conditioning down, you get a little more range out of that volume button, because the volume goes all the way up to 40, but 40 would be blowing your speaker. So if you want to have a little more control of your volume, you maybe set power conditioning to 40 or 30, and then I can get up the volume. The volume steps are smaller in between. I just haven't played around with that yet. The other one, they have nice subwoofer control too. You can set the subwoofer power, your cutoff, lower and upper frequencies right here on the main menu. Let's go now into your equalizer. This has DSP, digital signal processing. You have nice, I think it's a 16-band equalizer with lots of presets here. Whatever you want. I usually just keep it on rock. Go back into that, and then you can set your surround field, and you do notice a difference on like a surround effect kind of thing. You can adjust each dial for the corners of your car. You can set the strength of the surround field. Your bass enhancement, I have that turned off because I have a subwoofer. I don't need to have my front or rear speakers have bass enhancement. Field, again, that's just your balance, your fader, front to back, left to right, and then your bass filter. This has its own filter. I really don't use it because I use the other ones. I don't know why they have it on there twice. I haven't played with this yet. Oh, I'm sorry. This is for just the front and back speakers. This is not the subwoofer. So right now I have them 20 hertz. All right. So that's pretty much the majority of this Android radio. I'll show you some some Android Auto here. All right, I'm going to try to do CarLink while my phone is actually recording. We'll see if this actually works. I can't show plug into my phone, but you get the idea. So you go to CarLink on the radio, and now I'm going to plug the USB, I got to get a little closer here, into my phone, and let's see if this works with recording. All right, so right now it is plugged into my phone, and my phone can actually record, which is kind of cool. I didn't know if that was going to work or not. So Android Auto, hit the main icon here. Of course, I have all the players that are installed on my phone, weather, anything I want to do, Spotify, and of course, Google Maps right there. You get your notifications. If you get any texts or anything like that, they'll go through there. And of course, I could do the icon here. Text Rosemary at mobile.
What's the message?
Mute on there. Hello.
Here's your text to Rosemary. Hello. Do you want to send it or change it?
Send it.
Okay. Message sent.
And that's all there is to it. Of course, it's a little time consuming, but at least you don't have to touch your phone. Now, you'll get actually text messages and Facebook Messenger on here. Well, I haven't tried sending a Facebook message. I think you can do it. I'll have to experiment with that. But Android Auto, I mean, that's as good as it gets. Again, all your players are already on here. Try some Amazon Music here. It's weird that it played the same song that I had on YouTube Music. That's kind of interesting. But then, of course, you could play anything you want. You can voice play music. Play Like a Storm on Pandora.
Okay, playing Like a Storm on Pandora.
But anyway, that's that. Let me back out of here. Hit there. Hit exit. Unplug my phone. And that covers the most of the radio. Joying has been a great company to deal with. I've had, like I said in the beginning, probably about a dozen of these Joying radios. And out of all of them, I've only had a problem with one. On one of my radios, I had the screen, for some reason, just stopped turning on. And I contacted Joying. They sent me out an entire new motherboard. I think I paid shipping for it because I had the radio for about a year and a half, which was maybe $20, $25. But, I mean, it saves me $300 of buying a completely brand new radio. So they're very easy to work with. You know, I can't go wrong with Joying. I actually ordered another one of these radios for my other Trans Am, and I ordered the 8-inch version for my GMC Acadia because I can't stand that factory radio. So hope the video helped you. I highly recommend Joying radios in cars. It's about a third of the price of the 10-inch Pioneer radio, and this does about 10 times more. Thanks for watching.